Hey everyone, so I hope you have seen my Lentor Central Residences analysis. So of course now we have more info on the prices, but we are still waiting for even more info. So of course, as a consumer, to me, pricing is the most important as it will always affect my evergreen scorecard. So today we are here to analyze on the Lentor Central Residences prices. And trust me, I had the sneak peek of the prices. It's really cheap. And I'm very sure if you get into this project itself, you will have a very strong exit strategy, but not only that, multiple options or multiple milestones to consider during your journey of owning Lentor Central Residences. So in this video, we will be running through number 1, the price matrix, where it will simulate the low floor, mid floor and high floors. Number 2, the surrounding comparison new launches. Number 3, compare to the entire Singapore's past and present new launches with a few examples. And then finally, anything special that we would like to add in terms of pricing and exit strategy. And last but not least, the final verdict on the scorecard with the walk-away price. So first, we start off with the price matrix. So here I have the table that's provided to me by the developers as well as PropNext. This is a simulation of what the quantums will be like based on the respective PSF. So of course, if we look at the chart down here, these are the current information that we have. The indicative guide price for the 1 bedroom at 463 square feet is 975k, probably the cheapest in the entire Singapore at this moment. The 2 bedroom at 678 square feet is at 1.38 mil, 2050 PSF starting from. The 3 bedroom is at 915 square feet, 1.81 mil starting from at 1984 PSF, followed by the 4 bedrooms, 1184 square feet, starting from 2.37 mil at 2000 PSF. Wow. These are PSF that is below 2000 PSF, and you're still able to find something like that in today's market in one of the hottest township that is experiencing the highest amount of transformation, where the government is currently focusing all its resources on. In fact, it is similar to what Woodlands, Norwood Grand starting from prices were. And this is the key important to take note. Entry price is always the key factor whenever we consider the new launch properties. So now if we deep dive into the price matrix, here I have provided to me by the PropNext as well as developer. Basically, it is a simulation of prices based on their PSFs and their quantum. So this is the chart that will be able to help you highlight and simulate what the low floor prices quantum will be like, what the mid floor prices quantum will be like, followed by the high floors as well. So we have the 1 bedroom at 463 square feet starting from 975k. So here we have that prices starting from 2110 PSF. So if it has 2110 PSF, it will be actually priced around 975k onwards. This is probably the low floor range where you can get units at 995k, 1 mil. And of course, as we head up to the mid floor, it will probably cross the 2200 PSF mark, where you will get something between the range of 1.018 mil to maybe about 1.11 mil. And of course, once you enter the mid floors to the high floors, you will start to see prices of 1 bedrooms being at 1.13 to probably about 1.203. Next, we get the 1+ studies. Probably the starting price is similar to the 1 bedrooms at 2110 PSF. So if we look at the range on the table here, it'll probably be starting from 1.23 mil to about 1.3 mil for the low floor to the mid floors. Starting from the mid floor onwards, probably it will be at 1.307 mil to about 1.4 mil. And once we enter the mid floor to the high floor range, probably 1.42 mil to 1.5 mil for 1 bedrooms. Next, we have the 2 bedrooms here at 678 square feet and 689 square feet respectively. The 678 square feet is supposed to be starting from 2050 PSF. So if we look at the chart here, it will start from 1.389 mil. Probably to the mid floor range, it will be about 1.491 mil. Mid to high floor, 1.52 mil to about 1.627 mil. And of course, the mid to high floor is 1.661 to about 1.7 mil. Of course, once you get the 689 square feet ones, you will get 1.41 mil onwards, probably, hopefully that they start from there, to about 1.5 mil for the low floor range. From the mid floor onwards, you'll probably get the 1.55 to 1.65. And once you go into the high floor range, you get 1.688 to about 1.79 mil. Right, and then these are the respective ones for the 2+ studies. And of course, if we look at the 3 bedroom starting from 1984 PSF at 1.81 mil, So here we are playing it safe by putting it at 2050 PSF, which you will see at a range of 1.875 onwards. Followed by the 4 bedrooms. The 4 bedrooms is a key attraction because to be able to get it at 2.37 mil for 1184 square feet at 2000 PSF, this really capitalizes on the harmonization effects that keep the sizes reasonably sized, more efficient layout, but yet keeping the quantum low. So with all these prices in place, how to make sense of them? Now let's move on to the price comparison. So we are going to take some existing projects such as places like Lentor Hill Residences and Hillock to determine which are the units that you should be going for in Lentor Central Residences. So let's take a look at the comparison of Hillock Green. So here is a chart of Hillock Green. Hillock Green itself, the lowest sale starts from 1764 PSF at 1.085 mil. That's probably the 1 bedroom, with the average pricing of 2179 PSF for 1.936 mil, and of course you have the highest PSF at 2555 PSF at 3.028 mil. So if we look at the past transactions of Hillock Green, which is directly right beside of Lentor Central Residences, we will actually realize a pattern. So it will also give you an identification what kind of units that you should be choosing and which one actually has an advantage. So if we look at the current 1 bedroom Hillock asking prices, we are looking at the final unit of 1 bedroom unit at Hillock Green, which is the 1 bedroom 689 square feet with the high ceiling at 1.513 mil, about 600k higher than what Lentor Central Residences is going to be launching at. The last few transactions between September and June of 2024, they are sold at 1.276 mil all the way to 1.32 mil about for the high floor units between 18 to 22nd floor, as compared to the Lentor Central Residences starting price of 978k. I think definitely there is a very good buffer of 400 over k. So if you have missed something like a 1 bedroom in the entire Singapore recent launches, then probably Lentor Central Residences may be the best alternative for you, because you are really getting a 1 bedroom price at 970 plus k with such a big safety net of more than 400k based on the last few transactions of Hillock Green. Now, if we move on to the 2 bedroom units, the 2 bedroom starting price of Lentor Central Residences is starting at 1.39 mil at 678 square feet. If we take a comparison of current Hillock Green units selling at 624 square feet for 2 bedrooms, they are asking at 1.592 million, about 200k higher than the Lentor Central Residences. Alright, but if we look at the past transactions of Hillock Green itself, the past transactions for the 2 bedrooms, the 624 square feet last transacted was 2516 PSF at 1.571 mil. Basically, if we compare the starting price of Lentor Central Residences 678 square feet, 1.39 mil, we are about close to 200k apart. Alright, and with that in mind, in fact, you get a bigger unit at 678 square feet for a much cheaper price as compared to a smaller unit at Hillock Green. Now, why is this a key thing to take note of? Is because of the harmonization effect. Alright, what I really love about Lentor Central Residences 2 bedroom units is because it starts off at 678 square feet, truly capitalizing on the harmonization effect. By right, this 678 square feet should be a 721 square feet or 740 something square feet 2 bedroom 2 bath unit before harmonization. And because of the harmonization happening, removing the AC latch, it drops the size to 678 square feet, and that's why we are able to get a quantum of 1.39 mil, about 300k cheaper than the 624 square feet transacted at Hillock Green. With this kind of gap we have just side by side, means we are also aware that current demographics in this area is also able to accept something at 1.5 to 1.6 mil for a 2 bedroom. Does this acceptance mean that your future exit strategy of a 2 bedroom 678 square feet at Lentor Central Residences is very clear? Does it provide actually a good safety net for you? Now next, we move on to the 2 bedroom 786 square feet at Lentor Central Residences, where it's starting at 1.611 mil. If we look at that, we compare to Hillock Green 710 square feet 2 bedroom units, they are probably the equivalent of each other. And if we look at the 710 square feet 2 bedroom unit at Hillock Green, the last transaction was actually on the 16th floor, 1608 at 1.711 mil. Here, we get the low floor at 1.611 mil for Lentor Central Residences, but the most important thing is this, you get a bigger unit at 786 square feet. Goodness, this is a 2+ study layout. Alright, that is bigger but yet cheaper than a smaller unit at Hillock Green. And if we look at the current 2-bedroom, 786 square feet at Hillock Green asking price, now they are asking at 1.904 million, which is 300k higher than Lentor Central Residences. Isn't this a very good safety net for you? Now we move on to the 3-bedroom, 915 square feet of Lentor Central Residence. Now this is my favorite unit in Lentor Central Residence. If you look at my previous analysis and if you look at the layout, this one truly capitalizes on the harmonization effect. Each bedroom is more than 9 square meters. They still give you such a spacious living and dining. I remember this layout vividly, and it should be your choice unit because why? What was supposed to be a 936 square feet or 978 square feet 3-bedroom compact, they managed to shrink it to 915 square feet, dropping the quantum, making it one of the most affordable 3-bedroom compact in the entire Singapore. Key in into Property Guru or anywhere, find a PropNex agent or find me. Once we key in into the PropNex spot project at 1.875 mil for 915 square feet, you'll be able to realize there's nothing else in the entire market that will be able to match this kind of pricing for a 3-bedroom compact. So now if we look at the 3-bedroom compact at Hillock Green, the last transacted was unit 1015 and 2115. That stack 15 was actually the 947 square feet 3-bedroom. Back then, it was the cheapest and the last few 3-bedroom compacts in the entire Singapore about a few months ago. They were transacted at 2.199 mil for the 2115 as well as 2.059 mil for the unit 1015. Now, comparing to the 3-bedroom compact 915 square feet of Lentor Central Residence, it is only 1.875 mil starting from. If we go and look at the chart for the price matrix and we get something in the mid-floor for the 915 square feet, it will just be 2.104 mil or even 2.05 mil. You still have a buffer of at least 100 to 200k compared to the last transacted of unit 1015 or unit 2115. Isn't this an additional safety net for you? And because of the harmonization effect, like what I mentioned, it brings you back to the 2023 quantum. So now we move on to the 4 bedrooms. You will see that the Lentor Central Residences starting price 1184 square feet is 2.427 mil. Alright, so if we look at that, the last transaction of the Hillock Green, alright, second floor unit 0201, right, is transacted at 2.402 at 1184 square feet as well. You can also look at it as an advantage where Lentor Central Residences is pricing the same as a development that was launched 1 year ago. But then again, there is not much an added advantage down here. In fact, both of their sizes are the same. So in a way, of course, we can argue that the Lentor Central Residences 1184 square feet has a slightly better layout because they are able to give you a walk-in wardrobe segment in the master bedroom as well as an additional bomb shelter while maintaining the sizes or even giving you slightly bigger bedrooms in Lentor Central Residences. So probably you might want to pay a little bit premium for that, but otherwise you can still choose for something at Hillock Green for the similar price if you want something that TOP earlier. Alright, but of course all these are speaking from the point where we haven't taken the views into consideration, which we'll talk about it later on using the site plan. Alright, so last but not least, we have the 1399 square feet at Lentor Central Residences, which will likely be starting from 2.867 mil. And if we look at the 4-bedroom 1346 square feet at Hillock Green, the last transaction was on the 17th floor at 3.028 mil. And if we date back, there is another 0710, a 7th floor unit that was transacted at about 2.839 mil. So basically the 4 bedrooms, again being a newer development, transacting at the same price as a 1 year ago launch development. Again, if you look at it, this one in Lentor Central Residences, they are giving you a 1399 square feet. So this one also takes advantage of the harmonization effect where they give you more efficient layout and it being bigger and still priced similar to a smaller unit, non-harmonized. Then I think there is an added edge down here based on Lentor Central Residences. Okay, so now if we compare all of this to something like Lentoria. Alright, so Lentoria, a quick one, we will see the current asking price of a 2-bedroom 700 square feet at Lentoria is selling at 1.689 mil, 300k more than Lentor Central Residences. The 3-bedroom asking of Lentoria at 936 square feet is selling at 2.112 mil, 300k more than the starting price of Lentor Central Residence, which is at 1.9 mil. So if you look at that, something that is further away from the MRT, far inferior project with smaller land size, lesser volume and lower height level, in a way it's costing higher, than Lentor Central Residences, which is newer, and yet better landscaping, better quality, better layout, then I think this is something that we can really consider in terms of a renewed opportunity in Lentor Central Residences. Alright, so here we have the site plan. Why am I showing you this is because I also want to show you all in terms of how the developer will most probably price it. So here, probably we have stack 13, 14, 15, 16. These are the park view facings where likely the price will have a premium. Same for 8, 9, 1 and 2. These are all the park view facings, followed by the landscaping view with the pool view. Alright, so if we look at it, likelihood if you are the developer, the starting prices of Lentor Central Residences will probably be in the non-park facing ones, mainly stack 12, stack 11, stack 10, stack 18, stack 17, stack 7, stack 6, stack 5, stack 4 and stack 3. These are the ones that don't have the park view facings, and most probably they are the ones that is likelihood being the indicative starting prices. But is it really worth it to go for the ones that is facing the park view? So with the stacks facing the park, definitely is something that I recommend, because Lentor Central Residences itself has the widest frontage of the parks as compared to all the other 6 developments that are in Lentor area or in the Lentor cluster. So this is important because you are catering to a homestay demand. And depending on what the developer is going to be launching at, I think if you are paying 100 to 200 PSF for the park view, I think it's a worthy investment. But if you start to pay 300 to 500 PSF for the park view, then maybe I think it might not be worth it. But do bear in mind that by buying the park view facing ones, basically you are edging off the competition from the Lentor cluster, because I think the main concern of all the consumers out there is the 6 projects coming into play. Will there be too many units to be competing with in the Lentor cluster? So if we look at it this way, by having the park view facing, we have seen time and time again that people are willing to pay more for the park view facings, despite them entering at a higher price. So the profitability is there, the ease of resellability is also there. So in a way, if you go for the park view facing, if the premium is not too much, my definite recommendation is to go for the park view facing. So now we move on to comparing Lentor Central Residences to the rest of the Singapore new launches, past and present. So we will use Norwood Grand as an example. Norwood Grand 1 bedroom starting price actually starts from 988k. In fact, its starting price is higher than our Lentor Central Residences 1 bedroom units. But of course, do take note that their 1 bedrooms are at 495 square feet, giving a slightly bigger size, and that's why their quantum is slightly bigger. But with that in mind, then does it really take advantage of the harmonization effect? The fact that the Lentor Central Residences actually effectively lay out the 1 bedrooms, makes it 463 square feet, and yet maintaining its efficiency is the key factor to look out for. And that's why you see the starting price of Norwood Grand being at 988k, a much more accessible location such as Lentor is at 949k. Isn't it a good deal to go for? Now, if we look at the 2 bedroom units at Norwood Grand, the Norwood Grand 2 bedroom unit starts off at 624 square feet, start selling at 1.238 mil. But take note, this is also pretty similar in terms of the PSF, because it is starting at a PSF of 1983 PSF, pretty similar to what Lentor Central Residences is starting at. And take a note, mind you, for Lentor Central Residences is 678 square feet, starting from 1.39 mil at a similar PSF at Woodlands. So we have the 3 bedrooms. Of course, the 3 bedrooms for Norwood Grand, they have a variation of 872 square feet and 883 square feet. But let's compare the 904 square feet, which is the equivalent to Lentor Central Residences 915 square feet. The 904 square feet transacts at about 1.8, 1.83, 1.85, 1.86. We have Lentor Central Residences at 915 square feet, starting from 1.875 mil. Woodlands costing higher than Lentor, but most importantly, Lentor itself has the MRT and a mall right beside. Does Woodlands even have that? So it really boggles me when I see surrounding new launches in the other parts of Singapore costing higher than Lentor itself when it's further away. So if we look at it, we move on to the 4 bedrooms comparison. The 4 bedrooms at Norwood Grand itself has a variation of 1173 square feet and 1313 as compared to Lentor Central Residences 1184 and 1399. We will see that the 1173 square feet unit at Norwood Grand, the latest transacted at about 2.33 mil to 2.387 mil depending on the facing. For the 1313 square feet, they have hit 2.6 to 2.7 mil, which is not too far off from Lentor Central Residences. And if we take a look at that, Lentor Central Residences 4 bedroom starting price is 2.427, less than 100k difference compared to Woodlands. So now it really justifies that Lentor Central Residences may indeed be a very good deal. Right, so now we have this app down here that we can actually spot the entire Singapore's project because PropNext itself has majority of the projects in Singapore. So here we have the PropNext app that I'm going to key in the attributes for the respective bedrooms. We want only condo, available for sale, subtype is condo itself again, and then from there we will key in for the 1 bedroom units, the minimum size of 463 square feet. And then we key in the asking price, maximum asking price of 980k, for example, and we apply filter. Basically, no match found in Singapore for the 1 bedrooms asking at this price. Means no other projects can offer this price. Thus, if for those who are starting their building capital process, isn't this 1 bedroom a good unit type to go and look out for? Next, we move on to the 2 bedrooms, applying the same attributes. We only want condo in Singapore, available for sale, size minimally 678 square feet, bedroom type, we put 2 bedrooms down here. So this is the only one we want to compare to, and the maximum price of 1.45 mil because the starting price of Lentor Central Residences is 1.39. We apply the filter, basically we have nothing to look for. Alright, basically we only have 678 square feet at Lumia, but in actual fact, this is how the 2 bedroom plus study looks like. Alright, so actually, but of course, if we look at it, CCR, it may sound like a very attractive option, but if you look at the layout, there are a lot of unnecessary space and the demand for the units in CCR is not so strong yet. And of course, you see you are paying for bay windows as well as balcony and planter and additional bay window in the toilet with bomb shelter. So imagine if you go and look at it physically that time, how much smaller it will be. And I personally see it myself, is really very small. But in terms of integrity of the analysis, that's why I need to explain this to you. Now we move on to 2 bedrooms at 786 square feet. So let's change the attribute to 786 square feet. 2 bedrooms, and we set the boundary of a maximum of, let's say, 1.61 mil, 1.62 or 1.63 mil. Alright, and we see what's available in the entire Singapore for us. Basically, once we enter the attributes, there are only 2 other options in the entire Singapore, which is the shorefront and Sora, which is in the Lake Garden area. Well, depending on how well you can appreciate the Lake Garden area, I would think that definitely Lentor itself has the mall and MRT and is definitely much more accessible, because if you look at the map, Lentor is actually in the center of Singapore. Are you willing to accept paying 1.6 mil to go for a Jurong property when actually you have something in Lentor area? Now, if we continue this process and do it for the 3 bedrooms, so 3 bedrooms itself, we apply the attribute with a minimum size of 915 square feet and do a starting from 1.9 mil, for example. So this will compare the entire Singapore's 3 bedroom compact, and we apply filter. Basically, these are your 3 other choices: the shorefront, the Arden, which is in Choa Chu Kang, as well as Kasia, which is in Flora Drive. Are you willing to go that far and sacrifice the mall and MRT when actually you can get it here at Lentor Central Residences? Now, if we move on and we apply the same thing to the 4 bedroom, anything above 1184 square feet. The starting from prices is 2.427, so let's put it at 2.45 mil max price. Let's see what we can find. Basically, we only have Jensen House, which is in D19, a boutique development, right? Although it's 999, but with the lack of volume of transactions, do you dare to enter this project? And followed by the Arden, which is the cheapest in the entire Singapore, but it is in Choa Chu Kang. So if I can get you a better improvement in location, amenities such as mall and MRT, yet for the price of 2.4 mil similar to all of these, will it be better for you? Alright, same thing if we try the 1399 square feet 4 bedrooms. So we have the attribute of 4 bedrooms here. We set the size to 1399. And then we set the max price or 2.9 mil. What else can we find in the entire Singapore? Basically, these are your 3 other options: the Mist, the Arden, and the Shorefront. So everybody, do you realize the pattern down here? Why the recent new launches have been moving? Because it actually fills up the product and price void in the entire market. Same for Parktown Residences. If you key in the attributes into my app here, you will realize that there's basically nothing to choose from apart from Parktown. I was just speaking with another client that day when we were at the Parktown balloting. They were thinking, wow, it's a bit expensive. But the minute I show them a simulation like that, they finally understood that, wow, they realize that there's nothing much to choose from, and Parktown prices does fill up the void in the market in terms of product type as well as pricing. So with that, we move on to our final verdict. Lentor Central Residences, can buy or not? My answer is an absolute yes. As much as everybody is concerned whether can they exit or not. First of all, Lentor Central Residences marries two of the most prominent developer and builder. Rucoland being a top-notch developer with modern, sophisticated planning, designs and concepts, followed by CSC Land, who has won multiple awards in terms of landscaping and quality. If you look at their previous projects like Verdale, you see that their landscaping is so beautiful. If you look at places like Twinview, their landscaping is so captivating and the quality that they provide is top notch. So you get the best of both worlds coming together. A far superior product in the area as compared to their existing products there, although all of them are by Rucoland, but you get a different builder here. Better layout, better quality, better landscaping, yet at last year's pricing. Isn't this a clear enough verdict for you? So looking at the prices, here is my final evergreen scorecard. If you are able to get something between 1980 PSF to 2200 PSF, it is a no-brainer. I would definitely give it a 9.5 out of 10 for Lentor Central Residences, because Lentor Central Residences has 27 and 28 stories. So as you go higher, the per floor loading will add a bit more premium to the pricing. If you are starting to hit 2425 per square foot, then I think maybe you can get better advantages by going for the existing projects there that TOP, and you reduce your cost outlay to begin with. With that in mind, if you start to hit 2500 per square foot, my evergreen scorecard drops to a 6 out of 10. Why it's still a 6 out of 10 is because the product is really good. It does give a competitive edge. Although you enter on a higher pricing, you take a longer time to exit, but you will still be able to exit, and that's my key point. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you like the analysis that I did on the pricing. I did my best to compare to the surrounding projects and the way I usually do to eliminate projects and to assess whether it's Lentor Central or any particular project itself is good and viable to go in. Alright, so if you like my content, please remember to share, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.